September 12th, 1970, the Trojans of USC came to Birmingham and put a whooping on the Crimson Tide, 42-21. And after the game, everybody in Alabama knew the name Sam Cunningham. And at the time, the Crimson Tide were still an all-white football team. You could make the argument that Sam Cunningham did more for desegregating Alabama football than anybody else in history. And our Chris Womack had a chance to talk with him one-on-one.
Well, opposing players that have breakout games against Alabama are generally not very well regarded amongst the Crimson Tide faithful. Guys like Cam Newton and Johnny Manziel come to mind. But there's one guy that's held in a different regard, and it's this man right here, Sam Bam Cunningham, former USC running back who torched the Tide for 135 yards and 2 touchdowns back in 1970. But it's what he caused off the field that keeps him in the high regard of the Alabama faithful. So, Sam, I just want to start off. When you meet Alabama fans and they realize that you are that Sam Cunningham, what's their reaction to you?
Their memory of the facts is a little bit skewed because by then I gained 250 and scored 4 touchdowns. But so I have to correct them and just let them know that it wasn't just me who played in that football game. It was a whole team of Trojans that came down to Birmingham and played.
You were out in California, obviously. Things down in the South were a lot different at that time. So when you came to Legion Field, how big of a culture shock was that for you and your teammates?
Coming from Santa Barbara, I understood the culture that we were going to, and had seen some of the images on television. So I knew that if I got outside my lane, I was going to be in trouble or cause some trouble or something. So my dad told me just to respect the way things are, and that's what I tried to do. And I'm sure, other players, older players kind of, paid attention a lot more than I did. So, I understood, what was going on at that time. So that made me, help me assimilate and act like I had some sense.
You mentioned the lore that seems to grow with this game every time people talk about it. And one of the, discrepancies that a lot of people don't really know is what happened after the game. Some people believe Coach Bryant came and got you out of the USC locker room, took you to the Alabama locker room and said, this is a football player right here. What did happen after the game, if anything special?
We got a chance to speak with Coach Bryant, or I should say he spoke with us in between the locker rooms. Nobody was taken to the opposing team's locker room. I guess that's just urban legend to a large extent, which is a great legend, you know what I mean? And if this had been this time, this era, all that would have been known and talked about, for 3 or 4 days or a week or something. But because that game was so invisible, so not talked about for 30-something odd years, a lot of legends grew out of it.
Now, after you left USC, you spent a number of years with the Patriots in the NFL, running behind a guy that was on the opposing sideline there at Legion Field in John Hannah. He actually compared Derrick Henry to you when I spoke to him last season. But did you and John ever talk about that game and the significance that would eventually come from it?
John and I talked about a lot of stuff, but we didn't talk about that game pretty much. We probably have talked about it more in the last 5 or 6 years than we did in the entire 9 years that we played together, But we both knew what had happened that evening, and there wasn't any need to have a big conversation about it.
But at some point, it did take on a greater significance. When did it hit you that maybe this game was, a harbinger for change more so than it was about a scoreboard? When
I had the opportunity to talk to older black men and older black people who grew up in Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, those areas, Louisiana, those areas down south, and they reminisce about that football game. And a lot of times they didn't know I was the guy. They were just talking about it and whatnot. And then they found out I was the guy that played in it and did what I did. And then I would always see the sparkle in their eye and the proudness of what had happened that evening, because it opened the door to for the younger generation to do what they wanted to do, and that was to go to those major universities and play football, or just go to them and be a student.
As Coach Saban prepares for this game, I'm sure he's very glad he doesn't have to deal with this guy right here, Sam Bam Cunningham. Thank you so much for taking a little time for us.